UFC 308 is in the can, and I finally got some damn good predictions to come out of hiding and make a video out of it. The gold circles were my guaranteed picks. I went 5-1 there. Overall, 10-3 on the card. Went really well. And let's start with recapping our main event. I've been telling y'all that Topuria is the new class. He is going to put a schooling on Max Holloway. I've been saying that. I've been hammering that. I've been fucking called, like, I've been smelling my own farts. I've been glazing. Why am I glazing Eay Topuria so much? Because he is the definition of a well-rounded mixed martial artist. He's got everything. He showed the wrestling. Sure, he didn't do much with it. He only got 2 takedowns that didn't do much, but still, he got the wrestling. The boxing is there. The defensive attributes need a little bit of, touching up, but he's only 27 and he's doing all this shit. And when it came down to Max Holloway, like, Volkanovski showed that there's a clear route to, picking apart Max when it comes to the leg kicks. And if you've been looking at Topuria, he hits people with leg kicks that kick their leg across their stance and make them, wobble and make a turn. He hits them on Volkanovski, on Josh Emmett, on Bryce Mitchell, and he did him on Max. He kept building him up on Max. I'm guessing that's what kind of slowed down Max's mobility in the third. Definitely slowed down Max's mobility in the third. And earlier in the first, the same sequence where Justin Gaethje dropped him with the right overhand almost happened with Topuria as well, but Max did a good job. I said Max would have some great success early on because Topuria does struggle with the jab, but Max's jabs and stuff are a bit pitter-patter like. They're a bit pitter-patter like. He's more reliant on volume rather than connecting sharp like let's say like Jai Herbert. Jai Herbert hit Topuria with some clean 1-2. So did Holloway, but Jai Herbert was more accurate. Sure, Max threw more and did land some, but when Jai Herbert needed to make it count in that first round with the stiff 1-2, he landed it clean. But eventually, Topuria came up on Max Holloway, and the pocket boxing is just not something Max Holloway does well against when it comes to fighting shorter opponents. There isn't, and when I say shorter opponents as well, I don't just mean like, they have to be like 5'8" and under. They also have to have like a hunched kind of stance. That's what I mean. Like Arnold Allen, for example, he had a lot of success against Holloway. Took him to a 5-round decision, a competitive one as well. And he is hunched over. His head is down. He is hunched over, and he does play the pocket boxing game. And Topuria is just too crisp to kind of, play a little bit, freely there and be willing to take some shots. Holloway, we know he gets hit a lot, and I counted on Topuria just putting a beating on him after round 1 and just, doing what Volk did, but across 5. But one thing I will say about both guys that I did not expect landing whatsoever, like being their main punch, was the left hook. Holloway landed it a few times, and so did Topuria in the finishing sequence. So great job by my guy El Matador, proving me right after months and months of people saying I've been, glazing up, dick riding. What is it? Topuria. Well deserved. That's a complete mixed martial artist right here. Be appreciative that we have this guy. He wants to rematch Volk, and I want title defenses. Someone DM'd me saying, he didn't call that Makhachev. He's scared to do so. It's not an obligation to go up to the weight class above. We just gotta stop. Title defenses, like all the GOATs. Sure, like GSP went up, got the title and stuff, but you could remove that and he'd still be one of the GOATs. He'd be the GOAT of welterweight. Jones, same with light heavyweight. Like, I want title defenses. This is why I don't want Pereira to move up as well. I want title defenses. Get him. And like Topuria, you have wins over Volk and Holloway. I have Volk as my greatest featherweight, and if he beats him twice, you gotta nudge him down and put Eay up there. Or at least it moves Jose back up there. And as for Fighter of the Year, listen, again, you beat two of the best fighters in your, weight class, like historically, and you knock him out in that kind of fashion in 1 year, that's fighter of the year compared to Alex Pereira, who did have 3 very spectacular wins. He did save cards, yes, but still, it's Topuria, like legacy-wise, those wins are much more, I guess, valuable compared to Pereira's. So, yeah, that's that. El Matador gets it done. Co-main event, Chimaev runs through Whittaker, and let me just say this, MMA wrestling, and Khamzat said this as well, MMA wrestling and Olympic versus Olympic and collegiate wrestling are worlds apart. Like, Olympic and collegiate wrestling, for the majority of the time, it's a shot, they disengage, they get back to it, and then they try and like get a collar tie, and then it slows down. But MMA wrestling, if you want to have success, you have to chain your wrestling along the fence, in the middle. And that's what Khamzat does. Even when Whittaker escaped his back take, Khamzat immediately chained on the double and pounced on the back. And this is something different about Chimaev compared to like Colby Covington, Yoel Romero, even like Makhachev and Khabib. Like Khabib, yes, he got a lot of submissions, but they were based on like tiring the guys out through wrestling. Khamzat actually has a jiu-jitsu base. He has a jiu-jitsu coach in his corner, and that is something very valuable. And it was very evident for me, seeing as when Dricus took Whittaker down, compared to all the other times that Whittaker got up against like Brunson and Yoel Romero, is that Dricus actually held him down initially by threatening a Darce choke. He immediately threatened a Darce choke, and I was saying like Khamzat is going to immediately go for ground and pound. He's going to immediately threaten some kind of submission, and it's not going to be a good fucking, night for you, or I guess day, since this was in Abu Dhabi, for a guy who wrestles like that and can threaten that kind of, or those kind of submissions. And yeah, it's just worlds apart, MMA wrestling versus collegiate and other stuff. And like Khamzat's wrestling, like Khabib and Makhachev, they shoot double legs for the most part, or like they shoot a double leg, their opponent gets an underhook, and then they chain it into a single, and then they like to either dump you or drag you. Makhachev sometimes does his little hip toss too, has a trip here and there as well. But Khamzat, the key to beating this guy, which I don't see anyone doing, Khamzat's takedown, he shoots so low. He did it against Usman, against Holland. He just throws himself right at your shins, right at your knees. Doesn't go to the hip as much. You just have to be ready for that. The perfect example of someone defending this, I guess Khamzat's takedown, was in round 3 when he fought Kamaru Usman. You just have to evade it. You just have to somehow get used to the flow. And like Khamzat, I do believe he broke his hand and stuff in that in that fight against Usman in round 1 after the slam, but still, that doesn't really matter when you shoot the takedown initially. You can still get a good connection on a guy like Usman, but Usman expected it and evaded it. And like Khamzat was falling onto the floor as Usman was circling back, trying to reset the exchange. And that's kind of what you got to do. Dricus is a solid block. Like Brad Tavares got a very good control on him. And a guy like Dricus, I just don't see him improving as much because he's just good. He's been like the same ever since he debuted. I need to see some improvement out of him to believe that he's going to even have a chance against Khamzat. I think it's going to be the same thing. Immediate shot. He's going to take him down. Maybe Dricus gets his butt up and then gets himself up on the cage. But Khamzat's going to chain wrestle. He's not going to reset. I know you can say the same thing about Dricus. Like, oh, he can offensively wrestle well. That doesn't mean he can do it defensively. So, yeah, that's that. Unbeatable at 185. I think that's everyone's unanimous opinion. I think his toughest fight would be Caio Borralho because he has a good kind of defensive grappling base. He's aware of like a guy like Khamzat when it comes to the jiu-jitsu, especially since he's trained with him, I believe, as well. So yeah, that's that. Phenomenal shit. Khamzat. I did not see the submission coming. I saw a more conserved Khamzat. But yeah, I saw like a mid-rounds TKO, and I don't buy into the gas tank thing. Like against a guy like Dricus. Dricus, like, sure, he's shown that he can go 5 rounds, yes, but he has not looked technically sound as much. Give like Khamzat a chance to go 5 rounds, like, and he wasn't gassed out against Usman. He did slow down the pace, yes, he did, but like it shouldn't be the expectation for like Khamzat to do the same thing over and over again. And yeah, like it wasn't like Usman was doing shit either. And against Gilbert Burns, he was pushing Gilbert Burns for like 14 minutes of that fight. Like, maybe at 205, someone does something, which I don't think they can really. Like, what? Ankalaev maybe stops the wrestling. Pereira gets absolutely steamrolled because nobody knows how to shoot a proper takedown on Pereira. Yeah, it's just like, it is what it is. Great job from Khamzat. Easily going to become champ, and I want title defenses again. I don't want him to actually jump up to light heavyweight. I just want title defenses. And now, Ankalaev versus Recki. Kind of expected. I did go with the TKO because I thought he would clip Recki and put him down. He did, but not enough to put him down. Just like I said, like, Recki does not move with his leg kicks. He actually did in round 1, but he slows down with them. Or he slowed down with them in rounds 2 and 3. He gets like amused after landing them. And that's just so open for Magomed Ankalaev's like crisp boxing to land through and be more damaging aesthetically towards the judges and stuff. And yeah, like, crazy. It's just like, it was a Magomed Ankalaev fight. Great decision. Deserves a title shot. Like, I believe Pereira beats him with or without the grappling. Genuinely. I said that before Pereira round tree, all that shit. Like, Ankalaev is not the best on the feet. He has good boxing. Maybe the straight can catch Pereira. But not really, especially since Pereira's been showing a good ability to evade shots. So, yeah, but he should 100% get the shot against Pereira. If they're going to Saudi Arabia in February, I guess you can do it there, but this should be taking place in Brazil. Pereira should have a fight in Brazil. If not, March timeline should be when Ankalaev versus Shama takes place. So yeah, now Lerone Murphy versus Dan Ige. I mean, talk about fumbling a win. Dan Ige does it again. Not really, he hasn't really fumbled too many wins because he hasn't really gotten the chance to. He either loses or wins. I mean, that's yeah, no shit, that's a fucking like the result of a fight, wins or loses, but you get what I mean. Round 1 with the big knockdown. Round 2, Lerone comes back. Round 3, it's a bit of an even round. Lerone gets his back, trumps him there, and then falls off. And this is the perfect chance for Ige to kind of slow things down, even control it. You don't even need to like be aggressive, be boring. At least get the win, beat the undefeated guy, show that you're, make Lopez, make yourself look good because Lopez is looking good, right? You beat Lopez in the 3rd round. You have a good story with stepping in on 4 hours notice and stuff, but I guess Lerone was just a bit more aware even after fumbling the position in the 3rd round. It was just a bit clear. The grappling was there from both guys. Lerone, kind of a Leon Edwards with grappling and a bit more volume. Kinda, not really. Not really, but you know what I mean. Not really. It was a good fight. It was another Dan Ige fight. Like, if he doesn't get that 1st round knockout highlight, it's a competitive decision for the most part. So good on Lerone. Josh Emmett is what he called out, is who he called out. Should be happening next for my guy Lerone. Now, Shara versus Armen Petrosyan. I didn't think Shara was going to be a lock because I expected Armen to grapple because he did, he is good at grappling, but apparently these guys have met on the regional like scene when it came to like kickboxing or something. So I guess maybe that's why he didn't grapple. I did pick Shara, but I wasn't confident in it because of the clinching and stuff, but evenly matched on the feet at first, going tit for tat. First round, Shara. After that straight from Armen early on, Shara did land his straights of his own, building up some damage, hitting a couple of his straights, or not a couple, I think one of his straights like matched the straight that Armen landed, and then he just did more damage on top of that. And then the spinning elbow, the double spinning elbow, which clip came out that he did it the same kind of technique on the open workout pad. So good on him. I mean, good on him for seeing that coming. No one's put it on. Armen Petrosyan like that on the feet. You know, you had to grapple him to kind of get the dub. So good shit from Shara. I hope he stays active, follows the kickboxing tradition in staying active, fights on Macau, give him another can, and then drag him to Saudi Arabia and put him up against a top 20 or a top 15 guy. Yeah, I mean, let's do it. Let's do it. One of the best KOs of the year. At first, like everyone else, I didn't see it, but it looks so fucking cool on slow-mo. It really does. It really, really, really does. Kind of said that like John Jones. That's crazy. Really, really, really does. Sorry, a bit of a reset there. Now, Turkish titties. Eay Aslan just froze this guy with one shot. Volume striking, I thought, was going to prevail for Eay Aslan against Ferrera, and it did. Didn't expect Ferrera to freeze up like that, but the delight, the Turkish delight, Turkish titties gets it done. Crazy. Just like, it was a first round thing. What can you say? Yeah, good job from Eay. Jeff Neal, unlucky that he didn't get to showcase everything. Dropped RDA early. Looked clean in the boxing. And then, dropped RDA. And RDA's done 3 in a row. That's that. I think he's going to retire in the next fight because that's going to be his, I think his official 50th fight. Because his record's 32-17. I think he's going to come back from this injury and just fight one more time against anybody. So, yeah. But Jeff Neal looked crisp on the feet. Just expected him to be bigger everywhere. He has a good clinch game if he uses it properly. Didn't use it well against Gary. Pocket boxing's there if he shows up. And yeah, just looked good. Dropped him. Should have gotten the knockout because, you know, he was just a better fighter, but RDA fumbles his leg. And Jeff Neal gets the win either way. Good on my guy, Geoff Neal. Now, oral by the primitive Don himself versus Mateusz Rebecki. God, his hairline is hanging on by a thread. That line, it's crazy. It's crazy. Peak hairline, peak UFC hairline. Don't expect nothing less from these UFC athletes and their hairlines. But, man, he puts it on the prima donna. I thought Oral By and Diego Ferreira had a lot of similarities in terms of having a bit of, like, decently slow striking, slow yet affecting striking on the feet. Good gas tank and stuff, good grappling. And what is it? Rebecki looked polished, pushed the pace, boxing looked crisp, dropped Oral By. Bunch of scrambles. What an absolute barn burner. This should have been the featured prelim. But yeah, it wasn't. At least on the pay-per-view, maybe, and moved Shara to the featured prelim. Even regardless of us not knowing it would be fight of the night, this would have been cooler overall because Oralby is kind of a name now. So, yeah, I mean, what can you say? Recki look improved. Oralby is still 26. He'll bounce back after taking a bunch of time off after that pounding. So, yeah, good shit from Recki. Good on him. Now, Abus Magomedov, the guy has possibly the weirdest cardiovascular system known to man. Gas tank maxing at its finest. The usual Abus looks good in round 1. Gassed in round 2. Winded in round 2. Gets clipped by Ferrera. And as expected, I thought Abus would wrestle in this fight. And a guy like Bruno Ferrera, I just saw his shots being too slow, but some of them somehow did catch Abus, but he got him down and just got the arm triangle on him. And yeah, after Ferrera kind of gave up. I know they were in a bit of a grappling situation in round 2, but he kind of got bewildered. I believe that was off the spinning back fist as well. But yeah, and then he got the takedown and then just submitted him with the arm triangle. So yeah, good on Abus doing it in the 3rd round. Even with John Anik hyping him with his new cardio training and shit. Didn't look improved whatsoever. It is what it is. Good on him. Kennedy and Zenshiku. Sorry, I did pick Chris Barnett. Should have won, though. He is better on the feet with the boxing. I don't like him throwing kicks. Kennedy's defensive boxing is so sketchy. Yeah. OSP dropped them. You cannot say a guy like Barnett, who has weirdly good boxing, can't drop a guy like Nzechukwu. I thought he could, but he did the Ortega thing where he jumped. Please stop doing that. Even if it's John Jones, we want to see the unbeaten guy lose, and if he injures himself on a jump, yes, it'll be cool and all, but I want to see the fight. I want to see the fighting quality. Please stop jumping. It gets us fans paranoid every time. This gets me paranoid when fighters do this big-ass jump, and especially a big guy, a tubby guy like Barnett. He's going to land big on that octagon, put a dent right on the canvas, and yeah, that's what gets me paranoid. Another thing that also gets me paranoid, I want to say this too, I keep worrying about the cameraman, as a guy like Chimaev is running around the cage, when the cameramen are turning, I fear the wire is going to go up and it's going to trip out one of these fighters one day. I don't know if it has happened in the past UFCs. I don't know of it. But that gets me eked up as well. But hey, Barnett did it there on the jump, did it on the spinning wheel kick. He also had his meniscus or hamstring or something torn. That's why he was off for 2 years. Kennedy just teeping away. This was like Gon versus Tuivasa. Just teeping away. And then piece him up with the boxing once you know the guy can't do or offer anything. So yeah. Now, Victor Hugo versus Farid Bashara. Respect of the night. Even though it was a boring night, even though we had better knockouts, better fights to live up above our expectations in the co-main and main event, all those guys, I would have to say Farid Bashara gets my respect of the night. You do not agree to fight up a weight class on the day of. That's why Diego Lopez's win over Eay as well has aged much better to me. I respect that more now. But he agreed to jump up a weight class. He weighed in, by the way, like at least like Diego Lopez, he was down to 146, and then the Ortega fight the first time, he got moved up to 155. He rehydrated up to 155 and weighed in at 155. Farid Bashara was pretty much on weight, and then they just said, like, the fight's going to move up. And the commission in Abu Dhabi doesn't exist, it seems like, because, like, everywhere else, you have to be within a 5-pound discrepancy to fight someone, or else the fight is off. Victor Hugo weighs in at 145. Farid weighs in at 138. And something about the Bashara bros, they're both flyweights. I don't know how they keep doing it at bantamweight. Keep winning. At least Farid Javid is a little behind with the no contest and loss to Ayman Zahabi. But, like, respect of the night. You cannot say so. It was a boring fight. Not boring. Because there are, like, pretty bland fights. It was just a regular Bashara bro fight. Decision controlling, the submissions, clean boxing, good control. But, yeah, respect of the night for somehow being outweighed officially 7 pounds, 8 pounds, something like that, and still accepting to fight a guy like Victor Hugo, who was on a streak and has a good record, like 26-4, now 26-5, which is pretty, it looks nice on the topology. It really does. So good on Farid on getting the win. Bruno Silva, another victim of the Dominic Reyes effect, has regressed so much since fighting Pereira. I genuinely it's just so weird. It's so weird to see the Dominic Reyes effect in play on another fighter like Bruno Silva. I'm curious to see if he has another fight on the contract, but I think he's gonna be like a Thiago Santos. Thiago Santos is the same thing. He took John Jones to a split decision, a bunch of losses, a decision in between against Johnny Walker. Just like Bruno Silva got that knockout over Tavares, and then a bunch of losses, no wins since. So yeah, I mean, Ismail didn't do much. Ismail Nardiev didn't do much other than just kind of bounce around and control and get the back and stuff. Just better boxing, better everything. Bruno Silva, a shell of himself, on the back foot now. Crazy to see. So yeah, and then Carlos Leal, Sadhu Busai, victim, what was the nickname? It was like Denzel Washington or something. Swedish Denzel has lost to him twice because somehow, coincidentally, those were the only two PFL. Some of the rare PFL events I watched Leal versus Sadhu twice. As for the fight, against Renat, he beat him 30-27, outboxed him, bounced his head off. With the jabs, Renat offered him nothing much, I guess. He hit him a few times clean. Nothing compared to bouncing Renat's head back and forth. The grappling from Renat was non-existent. Carlos Leal in round 3. Insane they gave round 3. Round 2 as well. Wobbled Renat, I believe, and outstruck him by 20. And a judge gave that round. Round 1 as well. Defended the takedowns. Better boxing. Round 3. I don't know how you can't give rounds 2 and 3 to Leal. And round 1 is a 60-40 in favor of Leal. But I'm not about that. If someone should win a round, they should win a round. And that round should have gone to Carlos Leal. The acne is much more prevalent than a guy like Usman. I believe Usman to be natural. I really do. Carlos Leal and guys like Jalton Almeida also come into mind. I believe those guys to be natural. What is it? We see a little bit of acne on Colby Covington sometimes. He's natural. Carlos Leal takes it up to a whole new level. Like, I know it's a symptom of using the sauce, but even in this image now, I just recognize it. You see, like, above his belly button, he has that bump. He has that Kevin Lee bump. When, like, Tony Ferguson accused him of being on roids and stuff. Are you off the juice, Kevin? He has that bump. He has the acne all over his back, face, chest, stomach. Way too much. I mean, the Abu Dhabi Commission, once again, one last time, doesn't exist. If the Ferrera and, Hugo fight can go on, I guess this guy can pass of being natural, and Shara can fight with one eye. So, cool shit. Amazing card. Topuria proves me right. Chimaev proves that MMA wrestling is different from all the wrestling. The other wrestling, sorry. And yeah, that was my full event recap. Enjoy it. And